Hi, how are you doing? I hope you're having a super day. One of the things that we're learning about this month is generosity. Generosity is doing more than is needed. Our memory verse to go along with generosity is Hebrews 13:16. It says, "And do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased." Today, in looking at generosity, we want to think about how can we do more with what we have. Our Bible lesson comes from Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through 37. If you want to, you can pause the video and look up Luke 10, 25 through 37 so you can follow along as I read it. Once you've found Luke 10, 25 through 37, you can restart the video. Did you find the passage, the parable of the Good Samaritan in Luke 10, 25 through 37? This is what it says. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself. So he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. 'Look after him,' he said, 'and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have.' Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." Well, what about you? Who do you think was generous in that parable? And how did he do more with what he had? Pause the video and talk about it as a family, please. And when you're done, restart the video and we'll talk about doing more with what we have in a couple different situations. Here's another situation to think about how you would be generous. Suppose one of the families at church is asking for prayer for their granddaughter who is in the hospital. How would you be generous and do more than is needed? Would you use your own money to send her a gift? Would you set up a lemonade stand and send the money you make to her family? Would you organize your friends at church to write get well cards? Would you maybe do a couple of those things, or think about something else that you could do? Why don't you talk about it as a family and pause the video while you do that? When you're done, restart the video and we'll talk about one last situation. Here is one last scenario that we can think about how we could be generous and do more. Suppose a friend in your neighborhood told you that his dad lost his job. Your friend's birthday is next week and he's worried he won't get any presents. How would you be generous and do more than is needed? Would you use your allowance to buy a birthday present for him? Would you take a birthday card over and leave it on his front door? Would you think of something else to do? Go ahead and pause the video and talk about it as a family. When you're done talking about that as a family, talk about how you can be generous and do more with what you have as you go through the rest of today and this week and even beyond. I hope you have a great week.